My father leaned close, his breath heavy with expensive scotch and old resentment. "Look around, Morgan," he sneered. "If people hadn't felt sorry for you, you wouldn't even be here. You don't belong." His words brought back memories of 21 years ago, when he threw me out of our family home with nothing but a trash bag filled with clothes. He told me I would never become anything. Now, at my nephew's wedding, he still believed he had the power to break me. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I simply took a slow sip of my wine and smiled at him. Then, before he could say another word, the music suddenly stopped. The bride stepped onto the stage, lifted her glass, looked directly at me and gave a sharp salute. "A toast to the Admiral," she announced. The room fell silent. "My name is Morgan. I'm 40 years old." To everyone in that room, I looked like a calm, confident woman who carried herself with authority. But 21 years earlier, I had been the daughter my family wanted to erase. At 19, I stood in the grand foyer of our family estate while my father held a black trash bag containing everything I owned. I had refused to join his corporate banking empire. Instead, I chose to enlist in the military. He looked at me with disgust. "If you walk out that door, you're dead to this family." Then he slammed the heavy oak door behind me. For the next 21 years, my father and wealthy siblings told everyone the same story. They claimed I had ruined my life, failed at everything, and ended up poor. They cut off contact and treated me like a family secret that needed to stay hidden. But they had no idea what those 21 years had really looked like. While my siblings spent their trust funds on luxury cars and country clubs, I woke before dawn on military bases. I trained, worked, deployed, and earned every promotion through discipline and determination. I served across continents and took on responsibilities far greater than anything my father had imagined. But my family never knew. Back home, my father turned my silence into a weapon. Whenever relatives asked about me, he would sigh and claim I was a failure who couldn't keep a job. My siblings repeated the same story. They wanted everyone to believe I was a broken woman living in poverty. I never corrected them. For more than 2 decades, I let them believe their own lies. Then everything changed when I received a wedding invitation. It was from my nephew, Leo, my oldest brother's son. He had been a little boy when I left, but he had secretly found me through social media. Unlike the rest of my family, Leo admired me for choosing my own path. When my father and siblings discovered that Leo had invited me, panic spread through the family. My brother wanted Leo to cancel the invitation. They were terrified I would arrive looking poor and embarrass them in front of their wealthy guests. They expected a desperate woman looking for a free meal. Instead, I smiled at the invitation. I could have arrived in my full military dress uniform, covered in medals and insignias. But I chose something else. I wore a simple, elegant navy blue dress. No medals. No logos. No flashy jewelry. I wanted them to see me, not my rank. I wanted to know how they would treat me before they learned who I had become. So I flew to the wedding and walked straight into their world. The moment I entered the luxury coastal venue, the room seemed to freeze. My siblings stared at my simple dress with obvious disappointment. Without designer labels or expensive jewelry, they immediately assumed their worst fears were true. Before I could even reach Leo, my father stepped in front of me. He looked almost exactly the same as he had 21 years ago. Wealthy, powerful, and completely certain he was still in control. He leaned closer. "Look around, Morgan," he said coldly. "If it weren't for pity, you wouldn't have been invited. You don't belong here." He expected me to become that frightened 19-year-old girl again. He wanted me to apologize. He wanted me to feel ashamed. Most of all, he wanted one final moment that proved all the lies he had told about me were true. But he had no idea what was about to happen. I didn't argue, and I certainly didn't cry. I simply took a slow sip of my wine, looked straight into my father's cold face and smiled. My silence caught him completely off guard. His smug expression quickly turned into confusion and irritation. Before he could say anything else, the music suddenly stopped. The grand doors opened and Clara, the beautiful bride, entered with my nephew. Everyone applauded as the couple walked toward the head table. But Clara wasn't only looking at her new husband. Her eyes moved across the room, passing the wealthy guests and my siblings until they found me. The moment she saw me, her expression changed. Recognition, respect, and something close to excitement. My father noticed nothing. He simply stood there proudly, believing the bride was looking toward our family table. He had no idea what was coming. Years before she met my nephew, Clara had been a young officer struggling to prove herself in a difficult environment. During the hardest part of her career, a powerful female commander had stepped in and become her mentor. That commander had changed Clara's life. And that commander was me. Clara hadn't known I was related to her fiancé until the wedding invitations were sent. From that moment on, she had secretly hoped I would attend. Now I was standing right in front of her. Instead of going through the usual wedding traditions, Clara stepped away from my nephew and walked directly toward the microphone. The room slowly fell silent. My father leaned back with a confident smile, expecting another ordinary wedding speech. He was completely unprepared for what happened next. Clara tapped the microphone. "Before we continue celebrating, there is one extraordinary person here whom I must honor," she said. Her eyes moved directly toward me. "She is a leader who taught me what courage and honor truly mean. When others doubted me, she believed in me." Then Clara turned toward me. She stood straight, brought her feet together and gave me a sharp military salute. "A toast to Admiral Morgan." The entire room went silent. My father's smile disappeared. His face turned pale. My siblings stared at me in disbelief. The woman they had spent 21 years calling a failure was not struggling or begging for help. I was a senior United States Navy officer. Then the applause exploded across the hall. Everything changed instantly. My father and siblings rushed toward my table. The same people who had ignored me all evening suddenly wanted everyone to know I was part of their family. My father forced a nervous smile. "Morgan, darling," he said. "An admiral? Why didn't you tell us? We're family. We should celebrate together." I looked at him calmly. 21 years of silence had prepared me for this moment. I stood, straightened my simple dress and looked into his desperate eyes. "21 years ago, you told me I was dead to this family," I said. "And tonight you said I was invited out of pity." He had nothing to say. I continued. "So enjoy this wedding. Because you will never see me again." Then I walked away. For the rest of the evening I celebrated with Leo and Clara. For the first time in years, I felt completely free from the family that had spent so long trying to erase me. I didn't need their approval. I had already built a life they never imagined. Now I want to hear from you. If you were in my place, would you forgive your family, or walk away for good? Tell me in the comments where you're watching from.